I want to share the screen with the pictures. Elena, do you want to start the introduction while I'm sharing the pictures with everyone? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we thought to have these meetings to discuss the current situation and the issues that we are going through, but also the positives, I'd say, and have sort of reflections of these new conditions. And we thought to structure these meetings following the different types of space, so starting from the private spaces and how they've changed it to accommodate our needs, and then pass on to sort of liminal spaces for the next meeting, and then public spaces.
When you were taking a picture, were you like thinking, okay, this is the little public space. This is that little square that I'm gonna share.
I didn't think about it as much until actually I got into my first tutorial and I looked at myself in the little box in the right hand corner and I was like, oh my goodness, they can see my bedroom. I haven't moved that. And it wasn't until actually after the tutorial that I thought I need to reposition my camera or I need to possibly remove something, because it does feel like a private space is out there for everybody to see.
I'm a bit strange, but to be honest, I don't really care what other people see. I more care what I see. So I'm just in front of the window, and that's kind of what, kind of makes me happy.
But yeah, I guess it's quite interesting to think whether it's more important what's in front of me actually rather than what's behind me.
Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me, but I think that's, I guess, my personality.
It becomes all very personal because we are all in our houses. And so I told myself, whatever, like, this is my space. This is where I work usually. Why not?
I don't really like showing my place to people. And I feel a bit uncomfortable seeing your home or seeing your bedroom. If we're talking about private space, then I don't want to be here.
Does the white background still makes you feel uncomfortable though?
I don't feel uncomfortable with my background, but I feel uncomfortable seeing other people's background. Some of you guys might not care, like, oh, this is cool, this is fine, but you never know if other people need to record the video for the tutorial or anything, but it could be shared to somewhere else.
If it's like a basic furniture, I don't know, it's okay if usually people don't really care about it to show it, but it's like if it's pictures or something on the wall or your kitchen where people can see what kind of food you eat, what kind of appliances you have, it's kind of like more personal.
I think that the bedroom feels like a lot more intimate. I guess it's just like if I had a guest over, we would spend time in the lounge and the kitchen, but we wouldn't ever go into the bedroom. So
yeah, it's virtual coming over.
Yeah,
but we just see one small part of your space.
What I find interesting about Karen's backdrop is in the bottom right hand corner she's obviously got a mirror, and actually that's sort of revealing what's going on both sides of her camera. And I don't know if you realise, is that a door in the background? If that was open, that means even more of your private space would be revealed. It's almost like all these different layers of private space which you're kind of controlling.
I do have to be conscious that there is a mirror. I have to tidy my bedroom. I can't have like clothes around, or I also have to tidy my wardrobe. As you can see, it's an open closet, so I have to be more cautious on it.
Right, so today we were thinking to talk about liminal spaces and new ways of exchanging, and how the physical communication and exchange of objects has had to change due to the circumstances.
Somebody from flat 22, they kind of posted in all the mailboxes that we had, like those two. It was quite a surprise, and it was a great beginning of the day. And I thought that was a very nice social interaction, even though I didn't see them, I didn't say hello to them, I didn't manage to say thank you because I don't know who those people are.
Do you ever think about kind of returning like a little note to their post box and like in that way form a kind of communication between the two of you?
Like the thing is that with this kind of social distancing, I'm aware of something like the stuff that we touch. Yeah. So even with those egg things, I was like, should I touch them? Like, should I eat them? So I'm not sure whether other people are thinking the same way.
And with the summer weather, there's been this kind of resurgence of balcony use it's also led to people starting to push the boundaries of what that balcony space can do and be.
I think it's interesting considering that we're all now having to stay at home and work from home, the kind of dynamics between neighbours. You know, there's probably never a time where everyone is at home having to live with each other, having to put up with each other's routines. It does affect everybody else living in that space.
I eventually started having a chat with my neighbors. We have an aperitif because she did her exams, and so we celebrated, and that was really nice. We had a laugh about the fact that we've been saying, oh yeah, let's have a dinner, but actually never happened, and finally we do it. But we can't speak to each other because I also live on nearby a railway, so it's almost impossible to speak.
Has the doorstep become a space to not be in? So when you were having that like exchange, interaction, was it weird to be on a doorstep?
She sort of stood in her doorway, which seemed quite nice. And we were saying like, oh, like, is it weird if we sit down? Like, can I sit on your wall and can you sit on the stairs? And then we decided that we wouldn't do that because, I don't know, it felt sort of wrong. But I guess like normally if you're talking to someone in the doorway, you're like quite close to them, but we were still really far apart.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how thresholds, like when people would be on your doorstep, normally it would be people obviously dropping stuff, delivering stuff that you wouldn't invite in, like strangers almost. So having someone that you know waiting around on your doorstep and not allowing them in is like quite a weird change.
In the countryside, everyone just talks to everyone. So it's not, I don't think it's not unusual to stop and talk to people in the street anyways. So that it was just different that if you see someone coming, you have to obviously cross the road or whatever. So it was just that change in going up to someone and talking to them opposed to like having to cross the street and talk to them from across the road.
It's quite interesting, yeah. Like the fact that people are more spread out in the countryside, but still they talk to each other and almost like, I mean, yes, something has changed, but not that much. Whereas I think in London, because like you end up sharing your personal space way more often, even just rush hour on the tube, but then you don't get to know your neighbors.
And this week we're more talking about the streets, the nature, how kind of the nature took over. And we asked this week to upload just something interesting that you witnessed outside or something that is going on the street, whether it's about nature, exercise, or again, the new exchanges and socializing.
I've walked past there so many times and I've never seen fish. If I have, it's floating dead in the surface somewhere. It's just very interesting in how the environment has shifted in this situation. And so this is in a way an unconventional use of that space for them to be there, so for the fish. And it's also an indication that this space and the water is breathing again. Just they focus on their survival, and we focus, I guess, on other things that we claim to be more important than that. So in general, for the future, I guess this will make me think about putting emphasis on creating clean and healthy spaces for us to exist in.
Everyone has really appreciated their half an hour, their hour outside. I mean, I'm sure people did before, but even more than previously, people have been able to really appreciate having a park near them or an outdoor space or somewhere where they can just reconnect with nature, and probably even more in like an urban environment.
And so this lovely lady was doing her squats using the bench, and this other guy was doing some planks. And I've noticed that there's more and more people around my area that end up using street furniture in different ways.
Do you think during the normal kind of life, these things would be accepted? Or is it just because now we're in this situation?
There's this feeling that we are all in this together, and we almost, we just accept others' behaviors more.
The parks are actually closed and we can't go there to exercise. What we do instead is we're just gathering in the supermarkets, or just, you know, when you cross the road, you see your neighbors. It's like instant meetings with other people.
I live in a very small village, and we don't have any shops or like, let's say, public spaces where we gather. So the only place where we would kind of share a moment would be taking the trash out. And I found it, I don't know, interesting how the trash could become this new social place, at least for me and my neighbors.
Right. I mean, it looks like you're quite in an open space, let's say. So probably you're not missing the greenery around, I guess, but you actually miss the infrastructure.
Exactly. We have space to breathe and to walk and to be like completely alone. But then when you need social interaction, there's little, as you said, infrastructure for connections to be. And yeah, this has become our, I don't know, our community center now.
So how we're going to structure today's talk is briefly presenting this TED Talk, and then we also asked you to answer some questions, and we would like to spark a debate through your answers, thinking about what kind of world we would like to live in. During crisis, we discover strengths that we never thought we had before. So we need to think about a moment, a place where we would like to go, so that we can understand what is the picture of the world that we are fighting for, what this world would look like if we did actually act and do something. And we need to act more like movements, because movements don't care about credits.
What's the next movement? Because now we're in a situation of a crisis. The movements will be created maybe after this finish, or they're kind of already created right now.
We need maybe to concentrate less on making pictures of what will happen if we continue like this, and concentrating on making pictures of what would happen if we changed. Imagining products, architectures, landscapes for the world as it could be.
I wrote down drinkable water, or I started to pay more attention to things that we gave for granted before. Me think about how much we depend on plastic bottles to have water, rather than we move where the water is.
Is it related to how you move now?
Yeah, definitely, and to how the system manages us in an already kind of digested way. We don't source our own resources, even in like a crisis time. I don't know if I'm talking about going back to kind of primitive like technology. This question made me think about how embedded all these systematic technologies are into our daily life.
Referring to what you were saying, I am the one that put solitude, and because now we're looking to be so productive. So we're just feeling it is good until a certain point, but we're forgetting how good it is to do nothing. And technology is not letting us.
Oh yeah, when I go to bed, I think about crazy stuff. Or when I go to shower, I think about like absolute nonsense, because that's the only time you don't have your phone right next to you.
I think there's never a cut-off point. You know, someone's always going to be on their phone. Conversations are continually flowing in. It can be exhausting and overwhelming sometimes.
And I think what's interesting as well about all the words on the page there is that we live in such like a materialistic society, and there's nothing there about that at all. It's all about going back to basics and like appreciating nature and people, about realizing what really matters.
Where I live, every single plot of land that was abandoned is now turned into a tiny farm. So I don't think it's that impossible right now to imagine a more resilient sort of local-based economy.
It's about values, and will we keep these values after the COVID-19 or not? And what we learned by this crisis that it made us to stop, to take a breath, and to think what we have done and what we need to do in the future.
These 4 Wednesdays have been amazing, and yeah, we will find a way to continue and kind of curate everything. So
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to everyone for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.